Hello, India.
Hi.
You are currently just a background. Oh, there she is. She's upside down. This is a.
I don't know why I'm upside down. Zoom's not having a good time today.
There we go. You are now the right way around.
Might try out the background back now.
Always good to have you facing upwards. There we go. Fresh meat. Oh, very good. Oh, I love this. Very prepared. Okay, so India, oh my gosh, as you know, Ben, because we've obviously had you both in multiple times. So India is one of our regulars as well. India is here to talk about how she got into the industry, what she does now, because she works at a big company doing design stuff, but also talking about FreshMeet and London Design Kids. I'm so sorry, I feel like I have missed out FreshMeet there in the intro, which is awful.
Don't worry, it's here.
Yes. So India, yes, who are you? What do you do? And tell us about all of those different companies.
So I am a senior designer. I currently work in advertising. I work for an agency called Havas, which is a global agency. I think there's like 20,000 of us globally, which is mad. And I'll give you a very different point of view to Ben, who's just been, because like this, he's obviously like working in a very small team and that he runs himself, and I'm part of a massive organization. But specifically, I do sort of advertising for gaming and entertainment, films, all the sort of fun stuff that I really like working for. Who doesn't love films and games? Was that what you asked? Where am I?
Oh yeah. And tell us about FreshMeet and London Design Kids really quickly.
So I think it's super important that people know what careers are out there and how to get into them, because I didn't. So I run two communities. One is FreshMeet, which is all across the UK, and then I'm also a host of London Team of Design Kids, which does the same thing. We want to make it super transparent so that you can find out more about the industry and how you can get a job here.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, isn't it great that we've got you to come and speak, because these young people are exactly the kind of people that need to hear about what you do. Okay, so do you want to tell us about your career background? So like what happened from when you were at school through to where you are now in like quite a condensed space of time.
Condensed version. So I was one of those kids at school who loved art. Was like, painting's my thing, maths not so much my thing, like just give me all the creative subjects that I can take. And I didn't do any creative A-levels because my school wasn't super funded at the time, and so I just did the A-levels I knew I'd pass, even though I didn't particularly enjoy them. I then went on and did a college foundation course, which was 1 year, totally free. Hope it's still free, I think it is, which is sort of a bridge between sixth form and uni for creative students, where you learn, I think it's like 9 different types of art and design. Like you do a little bit of sculpture, a little bit of painting, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, illustration, graphic design, animation, and everything in between. And then I went on and did illustration specifically at uni, which I don't do illustration now. I do more design in general. But illustration totally prepared me for that and was one of the more fun subjects that I wanted to do at uni.
Amazing. And then, okay, after uni, then what happened?
Moved to London because I did uni in Edinburgh, love Scotland, but there were just more jobs in London at the time, which is sort of changing. You don't necessarily need to be in London at the moment. Like there's big portals in Glasgow and Manchester if you want a creative career. But I moved to London and I've sort of started freelancing at different agencies, trying a little bit, and then I've sort of hopped. Every sort of 3 or 4 years, I switch agencies now, like not on purpose, just the way it works out, learning new things, trying new clients. Now I've worked at Havas for a year and a half.
And so what do you actually do? Like senior designer, what does that mean?
So day in the life of senior designer. Today I've been working on some storyboards for an animation, which is specifically for one game where we're teaching people how to play in this like fun, colourful animation. I've been designing billboards yesterday for another game that's coming out where we've got big billboards with fireworks behind them, hopefully, if they get signed off.
Like actual fireworks, not
actual
like
fireworks.
Oh yeah. Wow, oh my god, amazing.
There's going to be this character in the billboard that's like shooting fireworks, and then we're going to have actual fireworks behind the billboard, which will be fun. And then I've just come out of a brainstorm for a new game that's coming out that I can't talk about, but it'll be really fun, and everyone it will be see it soon.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're basically kind of doing things that are like visual, but as well sometimes they kind of cross over into like the physical realm.
Oh yeah, definitely. So there's a whole mix of like animations that you might get fed as an ad on TikTok. We'll do some sort of like fun digital stuff, but then also like billboards in the real world, or not even billboards, but just like, wouldn't it be cool for this game if we built a giant inflatable structure of the character and put it in the middle of Glasgow? Like that sort of fun stuff as well. Super experimental and wild.
That's really cool. And so what do you do? Are you drawing these ideas? So storyboarding, like you said, that kind of stuff. Do you actually like, are you drawing the animations yourself, or?
I don't personally animate, but there are people in my team who do. So we sort of work together where I'm like, oh, I think a good transition would be this. And then my mate Kevin's like, oh, actually, I think that, you know, this transition, if we put that in, then we'll get a chance to talk about this. And it's like super collaborative, and his expert animation skills and my sort of storytelling skills that I picked up doing illustration coming together to make those sort of videos.
That's really cool. And so whereabouts do you fit in like the kind of conversation, the team, like as in, because I'm imagining there are lots of other departments involved in this, like who do you normally work alongside? How does the whole thing come about? It's so big.
It does feel big, and I feel like that's part of what on FreshMeet we do a lot of like role breakdowns, like what does this person do, what does that person do, like we do a lot of like Instagram posts where you can see that. My specific team has got me designing and sort of creative as a role, and we've got copywriters who write the scripts for the videos, and we've got animators who'll animate it. We've also got editors who'll do like more shooting videos for trailers for films and animations and stuff like that. And then we're loosely sort of run by the creative directors at the top, who sort of organise us into one cohesive team that actually gets stuff done.
Oh my God, I love that. And the variety of things that you work on is so broad, isn't it? So you know, you've mentioned like billboards through to animations, but does it go wider than that? Like, could it literally be anything?
Yeah, it's literally anything. Like sometimes a client will be like, we want to do a billboard because we haven't done one in a while, and that's fun. But sometimes they're like, we've got this game or this film coming out. What is the best way to like release it? Do we sort of stealthily release it where we just drop it on the day with a big advertising campaign and like there's just like sculptures everywhere all over London and that sort of thing? Or like do we leak it in small parts? All those like game leaks, probably planned, probably not actually leaks, probably part of a big advertising campaign that you don't know about.
Oh, good to know. Good insider knowledge. Okay, so we actually do have a couple of questions here that I do think are really good questions. So I am going to ask them. Normally, we don't actually take the questions during the actual.
I mean, send me a question here and I will respond.
No, that's so true. Okay, yes, well, we'll get on to that. GCSEs and A levels needed for design. Like, are there actually any requirements? Can you do anything? And also, same with degrees. Do you need a degree?
Great question. I would do a creative GCSE because you get to do quite a few GCSEs, don't you? I would do a creative one anyway, just because they're fun. A levels, I don't have any creative ones. I've got maths, I've got English, and I've got computer science. And then that's what the foundation course was for. That was to get me back on track. So I actually had some relevant qualifications. You don't need a degree, but it is super helpful just to have 3 years to work out what you want to do. Because when you go to uni to do an arts degree, you probably just need that time to experiment to yourself. When I did illustration, I chose it because I thought I might like it. By the time I finished illustration, I'd realized what I really liked about illustration specifically and where my skills were in illustration specifically. And it's all about the storytelling. That's where my personal skills are. And then I sort of transitioned into graphic design after that. And you don't really need a degree, but that 3 years, even if you do it outside of uni, is really helpful as like personal progression.
And it's interesting what you said about a like a kind of test year, the foundation year. So tell us a little bit about that. You said that you think they still not agree, but we'll double check that. And also, is that normal? Like, are there other foundation areas? Was the place that you did a foundation, was that unique? Or is that kind of something you can find across the UK? Do you know?
You can do those across the UK. Some unis even offer them. So you'll do like a foundation year at the uni. I didn't do that because it was cheaper for me to do it at college. I did mine in Abingdon near Oxford. And it was just 1 year, super condensed. And it was 9 subjects. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but it was definitely like sculpture, painting, illustration, graphic design, film, like loads of different, and every art subject you can try. And it's just a whole year to try all 9 and work out which one you want before you go to uni. Because if I'd only done art A level, or maybe a graphics A level, when I was looking at uni and they've got textiles, surface design, animation, all these things, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. And you can go to uni and like switch in year 2 from one to the other. Some unis allow that. But I think Art Foundation is, if it's free, which it was at the time, and I think it is still, I'd definitely recommend it. It's so much fun.
Fantastic. I actually also, just like while we're talking about it, I remember years ago we were working with an advertising agency, and I know that the girl who was on reception, when she chose not to go to uni or do anything, I guess a kind of extension of studying, she worked on reception, and I think she got to know all of the different departments, and she ended up being a designer as well. So it is interesting there, like you are so right. I love that idea, like testing, having a year or whatever to just work out, have a go at different stuff, test out things, and just get to know the landscape is so valuable, isn't it? And then you can actually be like a bit more directional about where you're going.
Yeah, 100%.
So tell us, in the last 4 minutes, tell us more about FreshMeet. We are so excited to hear all about this. It is across the UK, like you said as well, which is that will be, you know, music to many of the people listening's ears. So please tell us a bit more about that.
So Design Kids London, really fun to organise. We partner with different agencies and we get people into the building. So it'll be like on an evening in a week, on a weekday, we'll like have tours of basically advertising studios, animation studios, so that you can go and see what it's like to work there and ask people some questions if they're still working at 7 p.m, which hopefully they're not. FreshMeet is sort of a tangent of that. When in lockdown, specifically for degrees and sort of art foundations, loads of people got their end of year shows cancelled. You normally have an exhibition at the end of the year to show what all the lovely work that you spent your whole degree doing. And they all got cancelled because of the lockdown, which was fair enough. But we partnered with this billboard company who basically own all the billboard spaces, and we put all of their work across like all these students whose shows have been cancelled, we put them across billboards all across the country. And then it's sort of just, it's run on from there. So it's largely on Instagram, so give us a follow, but like we just break down different roles. We feature some students who are doing some really great work so that our industry contacts can see them too. And it's just a nice little community. If you've ever got any questions, if you put a portfolio together and you don't know if it's good enough to send to an agency yet, just give it to us. We'll give you an honest review, some helpful tips and tricks, that sort of stuff.
Love that. Love that. Amazing. What an actionable thing for people to be able to go and check out. That's so, thank you so much. And then finally, what is the last piece of advice that you would give young people watching if they are interested in the design space?
Just don't be scared. I think there's so much, like people are like, oh, become a doctor and a lawyer because you get paid loads of money. My boss get paid a lot of money. Don't choose a career because you think that it's the sensible thing to do. Choose a career that you think will be fun, and then you can turn it into something profitable if that's what you're after. But more importantly, you'll have fun doing it, and that's going to be way better mentally for you to enjoy your job.
Oh my God, that's brilliant advice. And yes, we had that, I think Ben mentioned it as well, like people get paid so much money in this space, but people forget, like, or they don't know that this is necessarily like a kind of job that you can do. So lots of people think that, you know, if you go and study or if you do art at school, your only option is to become an artist, but you know, that's literally what we're here for, to try and debunk.
So much out there.
Yes. So thank you so much, India, for joining us. It's time for us to move on to our next speaker. You have been a joy to have. Thank you. I'm sure we'll see you at the next event, obviously. Poor India can't get away from us now. So great to have you here, and have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you.
Have a good rest of the day too. Bye.